Hello and welcome to this week's episode of 9 to 5 Nerds with Robert Swathwood, Corey Urkel,
hey,
Katrina Swathwood,
hello,
and Brian Pasafume.
Hi.
Stop sucking on your braces.
we can hear it.
I'm sorry. They're not off yet.
That's gross. What? How long have you had those on?
Almost 2.5 years.
Gee,
how does it take?
Longer
Depends
than
on the
2.5
orthodontist.
years.
If it wasn't, I'd be like,
a year and a half. He just likes the way they feel.
At this point, it's kind of normal, so I don't get too bent
It's
out of
so
shape.
weird. I understand why you're doing it, but it's the amount of like adults with braces always weirds me out. Like not in a bad way.
I mean,
I'm just like
it turns some guys on, so maybe you get an action. I don't know.
Does it turn you on?
Yeah.
Make sure you shave your pubes.
Mission accomplished.
You won't be sucking on braces tonight.
But it's like you went this long in your life without braces. What would bring you to get them now? Vanity.
Yeah, pretty much. I didn't like the way
Vanity.
I didn't like the way my teeth looked.
Is it because they went in?
Yes, I felt like I looked like a chipmunk.
No, I always thought of it as like a moray eel.
Sure.
Because but if you bit somebody, they wouldn't be able to pull out as easy because they're angled in.
It was a defense mechanism, and you got rid of it.
Yeah,
Yeah, I can't do it anymore.
Your evolution is negated.
You're part of evolution, and you just negated it. You're like the mariner. The mariner?
Yes.
The mariner?
Mariner.
With gills?
Submariner?
No.
No.
The mariner. With gills?
Waterworld.
Come on.
No.
Bueller.
Come on.
I haven't seen it nearly enough. Don't.
We've watched the Waterworld stunt show twice in the last 6 weeks, so...
Right. That's probably the best part of it, right?
oh, God. That stunt show is so much fun.
It is.
No, we have an impromptu surprise random episode because I am super, super excited. I'm going to start at the very, 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 very beginning of why I'm excited and all that jazz. I think there's a unjust, unfair stereotype that people that, are into kind of pop culture and nerdy stuff can't be sports fans, which I think is a pretty poor stereotype. It might be going away slightly now, but since I was a kid, a guy that likes comic books can't like sports, and that's going away. But still, there's this stereotype that nerds, you wear glasses and have braces and wear Nintendo controller shirts, and
Who looks like that?
those are all things that Brian wearing right now.
Yeah, I like sports.
Yeah, and
Didn't your buddy went on a big tirade about that, and that's why it kind of got you upset in the first place?
who, Chris Hardwick?
Yeah.
Yeah, one of his. I stopped listening to his stand-up completely because I was so turned off by the fact that that he exploits this. Nerds can only do this thing, and that they can only stay in this lane.
Very narrow
And,
niche.
and it's not even just that. When I did listen to his podcast, which I don't anymore, it was a lot of, I don't understand sports. I don't. And yeah, it's fine to understand, but you don't have to shit on it. Just because you got beat up in high school by the jocks doesn't mean that all jocks are bad. I didn't have a good relationship with anybody on the football team or anything like that in high school because I did read comics and like Spider-Man and all this shit until my senior year when, people got to know me and then they're like, okay, this isn't, it's
not a big deal.
It's not a big deal. And that's, we're getting, even though bullying's still around, I mean, I think there's more awareness for it now, which is not where I was going on this. But yes, that did piss me off that there's this huge stereotype that,
Nerds can't like sports.
Nerds can't like sports, which leads me to for the last 28 years, I've been a San Diego Padres fan, which is not always easy.
It's never easy.
It's well, you weren't around in the late 90s.
I was not.
When 96, 98, when we were really good.
Those were the only years I paid attention.
Yeah. So, 98 was such a big year that, like, when I was in high school, when there were playoff games on or any sort of important games, the class would stop and the games would be on TV. Like, it took over the whole city.
Yeah, I definitely went to a different kind of school.
And I had that feeling again today, and I'll get to that. But over the last...
You in school?
Me being excited.
Oh.
Not sexually. For the last 3 to 4 weeks... I've been on Twitter more than any time I've ever been on Twitter, and I'm fairly regular on Twitter, especially with this podcast.
Now, are you on Twitter more or MLB trade rumors more?
No, Twitter.
Okay.
Because nothing reports faster than Twitter.
Okay.
Twitter is always the first thing to report because people have to write articles. They have to write updates, where Twitter
Right.
is instantaneous. It can only be, 240 characters, I think it is now?
Yes. No, 280. They
Is it
doubled
280?
it. It was
No.
it was 140.
It was I thought it was 144. Was it 140? Well, it doesn't really matter.
Sure.
Forward.
100. No, it was 140.
So I was constantly updating my feed. I'd say I'm trying not to overshoot it. 50 to 60 times a day, and that's a low estimate.
It's a bit obsessive.
It was, because it's not very often until last year that the Padres are mentioned in
Spending money.
free agency or trades or anything. But last year we signed the top free agent, which is not saying a whole lot. It was Eric Hosmer, and he's a great first baseman. And if you listen to Nerd Podcast and you are part of that stereotype, you've already stopped listening. For those that are going to keep listening, we'll get to the stuff you want to hear. But I have to talk about this because I think being a sports fan is being a nerd in its own way, especially now with fantasy sports and statistics and all this stuff.
Are we still defining nerd as like comic books and
I don't
things
think
like
so.
that? Just because, I mean, you can nerd out about anything.
Exactly.
You get really excited about whatever you want. It could be sports, it could be cars, it could be...
It can be very inclusive of a lot of things.
Yeah,
But 20, 30 years ago, nerds were, comic books and Dungeons and Dragons and all that, where the line has been blurred now.
Yeah.
So I'm refreshing my thing 50 to 60 times a day on the lower end. And today, the Padres signed Manny Machado to a 10-year, $300 million. Did you hear this?
Yeah, I saw it.
10-year, $300 million contract, which
It's huge.
is not only huge, but when the Padres are the top news story for the entire country, basically,
That's crazy.
it's nuts. And if you follow on Twitter or social media or any of this stuff, there's a buzz in this city that hasn't happened since 1998. And it's nuts because they basically, first of all, it's the highest free agent contract in sports history.
Yeah. Any of the four major sports.
Yes, in sports history. So the only one higher is Giancarlo Stanton for the Yankees, but he was a trade and sign, so it wasn't a free agent. He got $325 million. So the fact,
How long do you think this will last with Harper not getting signed?
Harper will be signing in the next week, I would say.
Is he going to match it or go higher?
He'll go higher.
Because they're saying if like there's no major, like I think the Phillies are the rumor.
Yeah, the Phillies and the Padres are the big ones, but the Padres are gone.
So what? Yeah, if the Phillies aren't competing with anyone, why go over 300?
Because Harper wants the money,
Yeah.
and he won't go there unless they give it to him.
The thing is minus one insanely crazy year. Harper's been a good player and borderline great player, but Manny Machado's had a higher batting average for most of those seasons. And the fact that he plays an infield position instead of an outfield position ranks him slightly higher. To me, the Padres have a lot in the farm system, but they didn't have a third baseman option, really. And the fact that they just picked up a player that's probably one of the top 10 to 15 players in all of baseball at 26 years old. I know a lot of people are saying, it's a 10-year contract. Yeah, he'll be 36. Pujols signed in his early 30s, so they're paying him until he's like 42 or 43. If that's his real age, I mean, you don't really know. And
It's not.
so the morning show on the Mighty 1090 is from 6 to 10. They went to 11, and then the midday guy is from 12 to 3, and he started at 11. And they talked nothing but Manny Machado for
Hours, I'm sure.
hours and hours and hours. It's a huge deal. Nothing like this has happened here ever. And it's like Corey's already going to get this smirk, I can tell. But there's people that were calling in saying they were crying, that they're so excited that this guy has signed, because it's a sign that, people that have been fans, that it's
Holding on.
It's such a shitty team for so long. They haven't made the playoffs in like 10 years. And it just, they've only been to the World Series twice. They usually get knocked out of the playoffs in the first round when they go. It's really hard being a Padres fan, and to show that they've been building this farm system, and now they sign this guy who's going to be that corner infielder for the next at least 5 years. They're saying there's an opt-out after 5 years, but could you really turn down $150 million once you hit 31 years old?
Does the player have the opt-out or the team?
The player.
Gotcha.
It might be a mutual thing. But I'm not entirely sure. They haven't. The details won't be announced till Thursday or Friday because he has to take a physical, and they have.
Yeah, a medical report.
They're negotiating what his no trade clause is going to be, but I was like pumped all day, like all fucking day. It was just, it's so nuts.
It's the truth.
That the infield is going to be Machado, Fernando Tatis, Luis Urias, and Eric Hosmer for the next 6 to 8 years. And, man, I'm so excited. They have no pitching. They're not going to win anything this year. It's saying they're not going to sign a starting pitcher. But I've been so fucking pumped all day and so excited. It's just I had to come on and fucking talk about it because I am.
Is this opening day worthy for you?
I can't go to opening day. I work that day.
Oh.
And I wanted to go that Saturday because it's a 5:40 start, and then they have fireworks, which would be cool for the kids.
But we got games?
But, well, no, it's not. I mean, we could get to the game, but it's your birthday weekend, so I'm not planning on doing anything that weekend unless you want to. So, no, it's super exciting. I'm still not going to buy a jersey this year because in 2020 they're switching to back to the traditional brown jerseys as their primary jerseys, which is super cool. But it's really exciting time to be a Padres fan, and I had to come on here and talk about it because nobody ever cares about the Padres. But when they dominate the news they're going to dominate the sports
news
world
cycle
until Bryce Harper signs, because people are like, the fucking Padres, like
spending money.
The vice president of the White Sox, who they were the other team that were in on it, was like crushed. Like they talked to him and he didn't know what to say. He was just, you could tell he was upset.
Well, the White Sox aren't that good either.
Well, no, but the White Sox have won a World Series. They're a Chicago team, which is a bigger market. Mm-hmm. But they were the 25th lowest payroll last year.
How many teams are there?
You want to look that up?
Sure.
I can name them all, but I don't
Can't
want to
count
do
them
that
all?
on here.
So I know there's 30 or 31 in the NBA, 32 in NFL.
It is going to be 30 because one league used to have 6, but they moved the Astros from the National League to the American League, but one had 4. So yeah, that would make 30.
Do you think there was a public bidding war or a private one?
That's private. Those things don't get made public.
I mean, in a way, do you think the Padres knew what the White Sox would?
They might have, but
bid?
the Padres kept their stuff very, very, very close to the vest. Like as in the White Sox thought they had the highest offer.
So I was just wondering if you think it built up to that, or you think that's the initial offer?
They might have ended up bidding against.
There are 30 teams.
Okay, they might have bidded against themselves at the end there, but I mean, you're getting a generational talent that's going into his prime years, because I think they said 27 to like 32 is the prime years.
How much of a big gap has that put him between the next highest paid Padre? If you break it down,
Eric Hosmer was 8 years, $144 million, which was the biggest contract the Padres have ever given out, and they gave it out last year.
Yeah, so it's a little less than 20 mil per.
It's still a lot.
But now it's 30 mil.
Yeah, I mean, between 3 players, it takes up like 70% of their payroll.
Yeah.
Oh, it's awful.
It's really not that bad when you consider what's going on. Some of the bad contracts that are going to fall off the books, like James Shields and some of these other people. Will Myers is kind of a bad contract, and there's a few other there that they're paying. Chase Headley, who's not playing for the team, a couple million, and some Phil Hughes, who they're paying, who's not on the team anymore.
Can I go play on a team and not have to play and get a couple million?
Do you have the talent to get a multi-million-dollar contract and then get cut?
I don't know.
That's the thing about baseball is their contracts are guaranteed. It's not like football where you can cut them and then you don't have to pay them anymore. So
what do you like? What do you prefer?
What do I prefer?
If you got to write the rules for the sports, which rule do you like?
What do you mean?
Pay out the people their contract no matter what?
I think you should have to.
Okay.
But I think that you should I know I don't know the specifics on it, but I know a lot of teams put out insurance policies on their players. For $300 million, I'd be pulling an insurance policy, because if he broke, say he gets in a car accident next week,
yeah,
and he's done, like paralyzed, God forbid, but
right,
then you still have to pay that $300 million for the next 10 years.
Isn't there who's the player for the Mets that gets paid like $1.3 million every year?
Oh God,
is that Bonilla?
Yeah, I think it's Bobby Bonilla.
Is that like
because they call it Bobby Bonilla Day because he gets like $1.8 million on a specific day every year for like 30 years.
That was a contract he had?
Yeah.
Was there any I can't remember if I read or heard this, something about Machado, like before telling, I want to go to a competitor, I want to go to a winning team or something. And then people are kind of like, well, he went for the money in the city, which is fine.
Yeah, I mean, he could say that he wants to go to a contender, but if you're looking at the Padres that have the number one farm system in baseball and they're willing to spend $30 million on you a year, doesn't that show that they're in the...
They want to win?
Yeah, that they want to win, especially signing Hosmer last year, him this year, having the number one. And the thing is, they have the number one farm system in all of baseball. All those players aren't going to be able to come up and have positions to play. I mean, they have, let's say, 9 players in the top 100. Mm-hmm. So some of them are pitchers, and that's great. And then Fernando Tatis is the number 2 prospect, the number 1 on I think Keith Law's list, and he's a shortstop, so he can play shortstop. But there's people that are going to come up and not have positions to play. So what do you do with those guys? You trade them for proven talent now, and you piece the whole team together because they don't have any starting pitching. It's bad. My armpit itches in that spot.
Stop touching it.
I've got a lump.
So I have a question.
Yeah, go ahead.
Do you think that they're going to try to hope that he's going to be a personality player for the city? Because that's one of the things about San Diego that is being craved for, I think, across sports.
Well, he's a personality for the sport because he's kind of a dick.
But that's not really what San Diego would be looking for.
I think anybody that has personality in baseball, whether it's good or bad, should be celebrated because the sport is thought of as so boring. I don't mind bat flips. I don't mind celebrations at the plate. I don't mind any of that stuff. Baseball needs more exposure.
And I agree.
I think that the way he plays and his attitude will have people watching. They hate to watch him or they love to watch him.
Okay. But you know what I'm talking about, right?
Yes. Like who? Bryce Harper?
No, I mean like a Trevor Hoffman, a Tony Gwynn. This city is
the kind of guys that don't get celebrated until after they're gone?
No, the kind of people who actually step out into the community.
That's baseball in general, and the Padres hold their players to a high standard. He will be out in the community. And I think that I think he's from South Florida. I want to say, and I'm trying not to reach, I want to say that they said he's Dominican.
Okay.
Which wouldn't be, I really don't know 100%, but so is Fernando Tatis. And so is a big portion of the Padres that are coming up. So, I mean, it's pretty cool that they signed him. The city is, there are detractors already, and there's a lot of people that are, like, making fun of him for signing here. But they're not going to be making fun of him when fucking...
He's cashing his checks?
Well, not that. It's that, the people that aren't in San Diego that don't pay attention don't know what's in the farm system, and they don't know what's coming up. Yeah, the Padres don't have a record of making it to the playoffs, but by putting these minor league system together and then piecing together veteran players to go in there, they're showing that they want to win. And it's an exciting time to be a Padre fan. Everywhere I went today, people were talking about it. I picked Parker up from the after-school program, and they were talking about it. I was leaving the baseball fields today. They were talking about it. Of course, it's baseball.
Well, baseball.
Parker wears number 13. It's his lucky number. Machado wore 13 in Baltimore. Parker's pretty excited. I mean, it was everywhere I went today was talking about it. So I'm pretty excited. I've been a Padre fan for a long time, and it's things are finally starting to look up since Adrian Gonzalez was part of the team quite a while ago, before Jeff Morad. I think Jeff Morad, when he bought the team from John Moores, the salary for the team was like $36.8 million.
That's how much they spent on all the players?
Yeah. Combined.
What's a baseball roster?
Baseball's 25. Actually, I think they just moved it to 26 or 28. There was just some rule changes in the offseason this year that I'm not 100% up to date on.
Does that include the pitch clock?
Pitch clock started last year. I think they're adjusting it this year. They also changed the disabled list to the injured list.
That's smart.
Yeah.
It's progressive.
A few things. I think that usually when September hits, it goes to a 40-man roster.
There are allowed 40 players on the roster.
No, 40 players active roster, but that's not how many players are on the major league roster. That has to do with minor league players and stuff as well. There's so many rules in baseball. It's how many times a person can be sent back down from the majors to the minors, and
Did they do something with pitching where a minimum amount of batters?
Yeah. I don't know if that goes into effect this year or next year, but a pitcher has to face a minimum of 3 batters now.
That's cool.
Which is kind of crazy because you'd see people go in, and for a left-hander, they'd bring in one person, and then the next person, they take it out.
It takes so long.
Isn't that the reason is to make the game go faster?
Rate of play,
because
yeah.
they're losing viewers because we're impatient.
Yeah. On TV, it kind of sucks. I can sit down and watch an entire 9-inning game. It doesn't bother me. But I don't think people care when they're actually at the games that it takes, 3-4 hours. Especially when you're at a place like Petco Park.
Oh, yeah, you're walking around,
amazing.
you're looking at everything, eating. It's a whole different environment.
Yeah, and that's what the Padres had to hang their hats on for the last however many years, is all the improvements to the ballpark and how cool it is to go to Petco and all that stuff. And now it's going to be, they're putting...
25.
I think they upped it to 26 this year, though. But there's also talk about there being... bringing the DH to the National League starting next year, which, I mean... more offense.
Do you know what Padre killed that fan last year?
Framil Reyes.
Oh, really?
Yeah, foul ball at Dodger Stadium in August.
Yeah.
Hit a 79-year-old lady in the head, and she later died.
Yeah. I saw that a few weeks ago.
Yeah.
That's when it came out, basically.
Yeah, they kept it under wraps for a while.
Yeah, nobody said anything nice about
You don't blame him.
No, of course not.
Because there was a wrongful death suit filed. I'm sure.
Probably had to keep it under wraps.
At least the article I read, they said they weren't planning on taking action, or they hope this tragedy encourages baseball parks to...
Or they were offered something before they filed anything.
Maybe so.
Well, they've already moved I think it's a requirement now that they move the netting down to the first baseline. But it hasn't gone up. It's just gone further down.
Okay. I'd heard a couple things. So I read an article about it, but in Japanese baseball, their foul ball line goes all the way down to the outfield, down the hole.
The net?
Yeah. Sorry.
Those balls get hit over 100 miles an hour.
Yeah, that's why I hit her in the head.
Well, it's like people reaching up to grab hockey pucks.
I did that.
I know. I don't understand why. You duck.
Yeah. Well, my brothers and I were at a game, and a girl was got hit in the head. You could see the trajectory change, and she got hit hard. It was hard. You could hear it. And she got taken out, but she was fine. I mean, but it happens.
She had a concussion.
Yeah.
She later had blurry vision.
Yeah.
Only 3 people have died from...
Yeah, I mean, it doesn't happen often. One was a kid, though.
Well, I'm trying to remember. I read it. One was a thrown ball. Somebody overthrew first base, and it hit some guy in... I don't know if it's the face or the
you also got to
chest.
figure those guys can throw 80, 90 miles an hour.
It hit the right person in the right spot.
Boom.
And I know a couple people have been seriously injured. Like one was a toddler, like a year or two ago.
When I was a kid, when I was younger, I was trying to catch those balls. Now I don't want them coming anywhere near me.
Yeah.
Not only is there the speed and how much it hurts, but it's the anxiety of trying to catch it and missing it.
And people jumping on you.
No.
Yeah. I had to yell at a bunch of people one time that landed on Parker. But no, I had to get on here tonight and talk baseball because you
just had to.
I had to. We did have a question from a fan
on the Twitter
from the Sample Chapter podcast. They asked what game our intro song came from.
Oh, would you like to answer that question?
Yeah,
Robert?
I'll answer that. Our intro song did not come from any game. Our intro song came from our friend Chris Cotta, who scored that song himself. He created it. It's something about a sound system that hooks into a Nintendo, right? And they can do like 8-bit sounds.
Sounds like he sampled a few things.
I think he did it himself. But I mean, so many of those things sound so similar.
He's quite talented.
If I hear the dog bark and I think of like Paperboy or something.
Oh, that's the one going out, the outro song. Yeah, that to me sounds like Contra. But no, he did a lot of things himself. I mean, that was all.
Well, that's actually from a video game.
Yeah, that'd be funny.
You don't know what you're talking about.
No, he programmed them, so I have full confidence in him that he didn't
copyright infringe,
steal anything, or if he did, it's different enough to where it's it's more
Vanilla
different
Iced.
than Vanilla Ice and and Under Pressure.
So there you go.
Yeah, it's
thank you to Chris Cotta
and baseball.
And baseball.
Yeah, I'm so excited.
Did you want to bring up the thing that happened on Saturday with the Simpsons ride?
You can.
Okay.
We went to Universal Studios on Saturday again.
Mm-hmm.
And there was a situation. It was pretty funny.
So we're trying to kill time in between going on the Minions ride, which is Oliver's favorite ride.
Yes. And
we had just enough time to go ride the Simpsons ride. And it goes through Krusty Land. And I had such a kick watching Parker react to Itchy and Scratchy,
which he'd never watched before.
which he's never watched before. He was so disgusted, couldn't look at it, was like cringing. It was hilarious.
It was the one where which one's Itchy and which one's Scratchy?
That's a good question.
Isn't Itchy the mouse and Scratchy the cat?
I think that's right.
Sure.
Well, then Scratchy got all his skin pulled off, so it's just like the muscles and stuff. And
Parker's
Parker's
just
like,
oh.
he has this look on his face like he's gonna throw up. It was really funny.
He like wouldn't look at the screen. He's like, I don't like this. I don't like this. And it was just so weird because that was just like nothing
I'm
when
surprised.
I was a kid.
Walking through Springfield there is great, but that ride is not good.
Oh, it's not good.
It is not good.
It does not
I
age
can't
well.
do it.
Why not?
I'll get sick.
Is it the angle?
It's
a weird angle.
I don't know.
Did it bother you when it was Back to the Future?
Oof. If I did see it during Back to the Future, it probably was not in California.
Does soaring over California bother you?
A little bit.
Really?
Yeah.
Huh.
That's interesting.
Can you go to an IMAX?
Well, then don't go on the Pandora ride.
The Reuben H. Fleet Science Center?
I haven't been there since I was like 9.
He also can't be a passenger in a car, so I mean,
What do you mean?
I drive everywhere. Like, think of whenever we drive somewhere, I'm always driving.
So what do you get? Sick?
Yeah, I get car sick.
That's funny.
If I'm on like the tram, sometimes it'll happen.
What tram?
Even, like the trolley.
really?
Yeah,
Tram.
MTS.
Yeah,
Even on like sometimes planes taking off.
really?
So I have a constant supply of Dramamine.
I got a little of that when I think my aunt was driving when I was in Oregon. I don't know. We go into some back ways, and I was like, I'm feeling car sick. I haven't been car sick in a fucking decade.
I never got car sick before.
I used to like reading in a car or doing anything when you're not like watching the road.
Uh-huh.
So I was learning I can't do any of that. I can't play. I have, but you have to do it in short spurts. Play like a game system or a
When
Game
we
Boy.
went to Vegas, you were playing your Game Boy.
Yeah, and then you have to stop for a minute and like readjust.
I think it started a long time ago. I was somewhere in the mountains where it was curving, and they just like re-asphalted the road, and I was just smelling this like new asphalt and made me nauseous. And that with the car, it just kind of.
Both the boys have gotten car sick when we went up to Julian.
When they were little.
In
they
and
were
out,
little.
in and out.
Yeah,
kinda.
those turns and stuff.
Yeah.
Did you go Ramona or the 8?
Ramona.
And you got to put the windows down just to get the airflow in.
You always hated how I drove to Ramona and shit.
Scared the shit out of me. My God.
Wait, you guys driving to Ramona?
Deliveries
work
for work.
related.
Oh, okay.
Yeah. He delivered all over the place.
Yeah, still do.
Didn't you tell me how you put like when like Pokemon first started, you put a Mon in there and it stayed there for like 2 weeks?
I went.
Yeah,
to,
we were up in like Julian.
Did we do that?
I did. I've done it before too.
I put one in like I went to Palomar Mountain, and it was when like my Ekums was like my highest guy at 400 CP, and I was like, oh, this guy's gonna last here forever. It lasted a while, but now I'm like, how did it last more than 10 minutes? I don't know. Different system back then with gyms.
Yeah. I couldn't tell you anymore. I played on Saturday. I caught like 60 or 70 of those. What was it?
Swinubs.
Swinubs.
The pigs.
Shiny?
I didn't catch any, but Parker caught 2.
The ugliest shiny.
Yeah, they're not that good.
Well, they're not the ugliest, but they're.
I literally only play to help you guys now at this point. I really don't care.
Thank you.
I just finished a 7-day
Streak?
research thing that I started in July
What'd you
at
get?
Comic-Con. A Moltres.
Had you had one before?
Yeah,
Okay.
I had a couple.
Can't remember if you had the.
And I was trying to get like
You
those.
had the birds, but not the dogs.
I've never had anything on a community day run away as much as those Swinubs. They were constantly running away.
It feels like since this year, the Community Day Pokemon have been like really ornery. Like they will run away, but before you could throw anything at them and they would just stay. I don't know why.
I couldn't stay. It's
So if you
can't
you
tell.
don't like the Swinubs, what is your favorite shiny so far?
the first one comes to mind. Totodile looked awesome.
What about Charizard?
I'm not a fan.
And you can do the entire. It doesn't have to be the first one.
I like the Gyarados.
Well, sorry, like Community Day shiny.
Oh, I don't care.
Well,
Well, actually, no, we don't have to do that because like I thought Ho-Oh looks fantastic.
Oh, it's probably the best looking one.
The only shiny I've ever caught on a non-community day was a Whalmer.
Oh, the pink one.
You have a Whalmer shiny?
Yeah.
You evolved it, right?
I don't know if I did.
I think you have a.
You did. I
Wailord.
think you did.
Okay.
I
I was
think
super
all
excited.
the purple ones look cool. Pinsir.
That's when I was still
Milotic.
playing.
I got a Swallow Blue when we were at Universal.
You
Swallow
hatched
Blue?
that, didn't you?
No, I caught it.
Oh, I thought you
A
hatched.
shiny,
I hatched one.
A shiny one?
I hatched one like my first one I hatched, and I caught one at Universal.
Oh, you have 2.
Mhm.
That's cool. I was gonna say something else.
I read the synopsis. The new Harry Potter coaster in Islands of Adventure in Orlando leaked today, and it is supposed to be like the most insane roller coaster ever, where it's based on Hagrid and the motorcycle ride, but it's like it has to do with like creatures and it's, you guys haven't rode Mine Train in Orlando, which is, it's a really cool, smooth kind of like roller coaster.
Yeah.
Is it the Gringotts?
No.
That's different. What's the Mine Train? What's
Mine
it based
Train
on?
is
Dwarfs.
Seven Dwarfs. It's at Disney.
Oh, okay.
It's at Magic Kingdom.
Gotcha.
It's a really cool ride, and this is supposed to go like in and out of all this different things, and it's supposed to be this massive fucking roller coaster.
So if it's the Hagrid ride for the motorcycle, is that when they're escaping?
They gave a bunch of, I sent you the link, you can read
saw
it. I'm not going to get super specific on here because I don't remember all the details, but it sounded really cool.
The only big chase on the motorcycle is at the second to last movie.
Yeah.
Otherwise, he just had a nice friendly
I don't
trip.
want to see Hedwig die. No, thank you.
No, I'm thinking more it's like him trying to catch a magical creature.
Okay.
I guess they're going to be a life-size Fluffy. So with Cerberus, basically. I mean, a three-headed dog.
Yeah.
I'm betting there'll be dragons and stuff. But with as cool as the Escape from Gringotts is and as smooth as the roller coaster they do with like 3D glasses and stuff, I'm assuming this is going to be a really cool ride.
I'm sure.
They put a lot of effort into it.
It'll be the next step up from Gringotts.
And when we were at Universal on Saturday, have you ever... Do you know the layout?
No.
Have you ever been there?
To Universal
Yeah.
Gringotts?
No,
Oh,
Universal
no.
here.
No.
In Hollywood.
Oh, not since they made Harry Potter. What are you asking?
Well, no,
It's the
just
same
you know where
layout.
Jurassic Park is?
Yeah.
It's down all those huge escalators.
Right.
Well, it used to be Backdraft. Now it's Transformers. There's a Transformers ride where Backdraft used to be.
Okay.
Next to that, there's this huge, I don't know, it's not huge, but it's a fairly large amount of room that they're knocking down that's going to be the Super Nintendo World, which is pretty cool. You didn't know about this?
No.
All
It's
Orlando-
Super Nintendo World? Not.
This one, they said Super Nintendo World. All the parks have announced a Nintendo World. I'm wondering if they're going to be specific to a
console?
Are they going to
console.
build a pipe so you can go to each one?
That'd be super cool.
Joking.
I'm sure the prices will go up. and
Wii
stuff.
World.
But I'm assuming it'd be Nintendo, Super Nintendo, and probably Nintendo 64.
It's almost limiting. Like, if you get stuck with a shitty console.
Maybe when it comes out, it'll just be Nintendo World. But somebody said, in the article, it said Super Nintendo World.
I mean, it's a fine name as long as they don't have to stick to that.
What's crazy with as much money as Harry Potter brings into those parks, they haven't announced an expansion to Diagon Alley yet for the one here, which would be really cool.
Yes.
But
But they have to build a train and shit. And where's that going to go?
you can simulate it going somewhere. It doesn't actually have to
That's
go
true.
somewhere with stuff now. I mean, it's not like at the one in Florida it goes very far. It goes like 200 yards.
No, I know, but it's fun.
It is very cool. Like when you go on it, you can see, I don't know how they do this where it looks proper, like dimension wise. Like it looks like you're looking out and you can see owls flying. You're going through the countryside and like it's closed and you can hear like the main characters walk by in the hallway, and then like a Dementor comes on and it touches the thing and it freezes and stuff. It's really cool.
That's cool.
No, they put a lot of detail in that, which makes me surprised that they're not trying to put Diagon Alley. There was rumors that they were going to put it here, but they haven't yet.
They probably haven't had to.
Well, and there's expansions coming 2019, 2020, 2021. 2019 is they're redoing Jurassic Park for Jurassic World. 2020 is the Secret Life of Pets ride, which I think is going right next to Minions.
Okay.
And then 2021 is the Nintendo stuff. Which, I mean, you have to... That's not a very big park. We can go do everything in 7 hours.
I don't even think it takes us
It
that
doesn't.
long.
We take it slow. And
We put around.
yeah, it's not a very big park. We've seen Waterworld both times we've went, which is fun.
It's cool. I finished Harry Potter. Showing BB.
Oh, yeah? She like it?
She did.
Good.
I still get. I haven't seen the last movie now a couple years. So watching them all, I was like, oh, it's so sad. They're all grown up. Those are the kids.
Mm-hmm.
So I was going to ask you guys. Do you guys want to answer some questions? You guys might know because you're
Sure.
Harry Potter fanatics. You read the books, watched the movies.
Yeah.
Grabbed your pants and wished you could magically wish it away. So yeah, I was going to ask what happened a couple of... Did Wormtail die?
Yes.
When? That was it?
Well, in the movie,
He
it
was
just shows him get
stunned.
hit, but in the book, his hand chokes him to death
Right.
because he shows.
Is that like Saruman? How he dies, but it's in the book, and you don't really get to see it.
Well, in the book, he has a moment of
realization
of what he's done, basically, and he lets Harry out. I believe it's been a while since I've read that specific book.
Let him out of what?
The
cellar.
The cellar.
Yeah, Malfoy's mansion.
So it wasn't Dobby?
I don't remember where Dobby was in that specific. It's like I said, it's been a while since I've read that.
I
book,
haven't read the book since it came out,
but I know for a fact that
One time you spent a whole year planning.
Basically, Pettigrew let him out, and I guess Voldemort's hand that he gave him realized it, turned on him, and choked him to death.
Really?
Yeah.
Because in the movie, you just see him get stunned at the staircase, and that's it.
Yeah, I was wondering if he was. I don't remember seeing him in the last battle.
He wasn't. He died. I mean, they didn't show it in that movie, but he did die.
His storyline ends at that staircase, anyways.
That's interesting. Okay, and then a couple other a couple of characters are in one movie. I'm like creatures by Hagrid's brother. Anything ever come of that?
What do you mean?
He fought. Didn't Hagrid's brother fight in the final war?
Yeah, he did.
But he wasn't in the movie one.
Were the giants those big ogre-looking guys in
On
the
the
book,
Death Eater side?
book version of
I
it?
can't remember.
Because
I remember that they didn't show a very cool scene with Hagrid of him running through Death Eaters and fighting people with his hands because spells don't work on giants.
I remember you talking about that. I remember I watched the end. I was like, oh, I wish he had more time, Hagrid and Harry at the end. But basically, after Harry breaks the Elder Wand, the movie more or less ends. There's no moment with each character like fucking Lord of the Rings has 80 hours of.
Yeah. When we were at Ollivander, when I was at Ollivander's and Hogsmeade on Saturday, they had Dumbledore's wand before he got the Elder Wand for sale, which is really cool looking.
The one he should have in the new films.
Fantastic Beasts?
Yeah.
Yes.
Bugbeak.
Buckbeak?
What about him?
Buckbeak?
Buckbeak?
I thought it was
Buckbeak.
Bug.
No,
Buckbeak.
Oh,
Buck.
Buckbeak?
good. See, did he have anything to do in the...
I don't think so. I don't remember.
I figured he would have been serious. And
Well, he was supposed to be dead, so I'm assuming he's wherever Sirius they were in hiding.
Well, Sirius, I mean, at the last movie, Sirius is already dead.
Well, no, I know, but I mean way back when in Prisoner.
I don't know.
Because you don't see him again.
You got to, like, I've read the first three recently over the last year and a half because we've read them to Parker.
The picture ones.
But I haven't read the final book in 12 years ish.
It's been a while.
Fox.
Is he still around because Dumbledore's dead?
Yeah, after
He belongs
Dumbledore
to the
went-
Dumbledore family.
Dumbledore won the Lamb, I don't think you ever see him again. After that magical exit.
I don't think so. Yeah, I don't know about him.
So that's interesting because he can heal. And you think it'd be useful to be around.
Yeah, just keep him on your shoulder at all times.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Do you think the school should have taken out the giant skeleton basilisk or done anything with the Chamber of Secrets after it's discovered?
Do you think anybody was going to go down there?
Well,
I mean,
after-
Dumbledore could have gone down
they
there.
did.
It's not a problem.
I mean, so I was just wondering if that's even. You would think. I'm gonna mess it. Slugworth.
Slughorn?
Slughorn?
Yeah.
Slugworth.
That's a different movie.
Yeah.
He was so into Venom with Aragog that he would be like, oh, I want to go get that basilisk fucking
Yeah.
poison. But
I liked him a lot.
he's fine. He was the only defense against the dark. There's two that were any good.
Well, I mean, Lupin.
That's what.
Yeah.
He should have turned into a werewolf and fought at the end.
Who? So people understand. We're talking about Corey's girlfriend who had never seen any of the Harry Potters. Who was her favorite character? Who was the most character she was most upset about dying? None. She seems kind of soulless.
Yeah, even compared to like Star Wars when Luke got his hand chopped off and
She didn't care.
the whole reveal, she's like, okay.
Was she just on her phone the whole time, or
No, she was
Knitting?
watching pretty good.
That's not very
I
very
think
well.
she got sad. To be honest, Fred and
yeah?
Remus and them. When I remind them, then they had a baby, and she's
Yeah.
like, "Oh, so sad." But Hedwig, I just think she knew.
That was so sad.
Yeah.
That was
now.
awful.
Now we grew up. We watched each movie 8 times. Then we watched the next movie. We watched
Yeah.
that 8 more times. So she watched. I did space it out. So we watched these over about a month and a half now. Like every weekend.
And I get what you're saying. We had much more time to build up these characters.
So I don't think I could ask her the name of the owl and she would have known before I died. So
Hedwig giant pop figure comes out this month.
that's cool.
I kind of want it.
I was gonna ask ghosts and stuff. Did they ever explain? Are some people ghosts because they want to be ghosts? Could Harry
I don't
Potter's
think that
parents?
unless they got into that on Pottermore. I don't think they ever got that into that with in the movies or books.
Okay.
Definitely not the movies, but
Because it's a big deal for Harry to talk to dead people, but theoretically, they talk to dead people all the time.
yeah.
Well, so did Luna.
They also there's things that I got irritated with, like with Sirius falling into the veil, basically. Like
they didn't explain
never
it.
explained it. Dumbledore being asleep in the office after he dies, his portrait, it never came awake.
I was just say, are portraits another form of afterlife, or is that like Black Mirror-ish where you're
Harry Potter.
so portraits? I always think of it as like Black Mirror, where it's like kind of like a copy of you, but not really the real person.
I felt like you knew everything you knew when you died, but you can't learn anything new. I don't know. That was just
Well,
stuck
they
in my head.
sent a guy to go find someone.
They have different. They exist in different paintings,
Yes,
They
so
do. They
could
can
go to
move
different
between
portraits.
paintings.
and they actually move. They can move any painting they want to. Because the fat lady went and hid. They were
So
searching,
did Sir
search every painting in the
Cardigan,
castle.
or whatever his
He
name
went
was.
to the ministry.
So is there a painting universe, basically?
Yeah,
There's tunnels. Flu powder.
yeah.
So that's just a couple. I wrote these down afterward. I should have made a list of all inconsistencies. Did Harry Potter's protection spell from his mom dying ever come into play anywhere else? Because it seems like a lot of people would sacrifice, like, or die trying to protect people. Like if Remus didn't die protecting Tonks, or vice versa, I don't know what they were doing. Has that ever rebounded on anybody else? That you
Obviously
know?
not, because he's the only one that survived it, right? And I feel like the only reason Voldemort got over it is because he used his own blood to be
Right, because
reborn.
when Professor Quill touched him in the first movie, he burned.
Right.
So I mean, his mom
Right.
was protecting
So
him.
if Voldemort had no Horcruxes and he tried to kill Harry, he would have just been killed immediately. Backfire. The end.
I also don't know if it's not like it's a known spell.
Right.
I think it was just protection of him.
I think in 3 different movies they try to explain it in different ways. Dumbledore tries to tell Harry, "You know why you lived," and then
Just very old magic.
and somebody else, and then Voldemort tried to explain it. Harry, let me tell you why you lived. But out of all the people dying in the movie, like I'm surprised that's not a more common thing. Like when Grindelwald's murdering a 2-year-old toddler in the
Yeah,
house.
That was dark.
If those parents trying to protect their kid, no magic
Parker
rebounded
even
on
said
them.
that was too much. When we were watching the movie, he's
Yeah.
like, "That's too much."
Well, they also weren't magic. Like they were muggles. So
So love doesn't work
you
between
think
muggles?
a muggle is
No.
going to protect their
That's
kid?
fucked up.
Muggles can't cast spells.
So if you're a Muggle parent of a magical child, you cannot sacrifice yourself
No,
for
because
them.
look at Hermione's parents. They had no idea what the hell was going on.
So that's just sad.
How excited would you be as a non-magical parent if your kid was magic, and then when they came home, they could give you like those things like in the Weasley house that just cleans up the whole house?
Oh, that'd be awesome.
I don't
she'd
think
be
there's
like, yes.
there's no rules to their magic. Like they create food and
Well,
water
there's
and
you
drinks.
can't do underage magic, but once you're of age,
No, I mean, but like they create infinite resources. That's
pretty much. I mean,
So-
other than like money, but I'm sure there's probably a counterfeit practice of people making galleons that are fake, just like people make fake
Fred and
counterfeit
George.
money.
Did Gringotts get destroyed by Voldemort? They showed like flashes.
They
like,
blew it up.
So they escaped in the dragon, and then they jumped off into the ocean. And then Harry gets glimpses of Voldemort basically killing everybody, including Griphook, because the sword disappears. I wonder, did he just wipe out Gringotts, the whole banking system of the magical world?
Well, it's just like a bank would be insured.
It'd probably be like, when they open a new Dunkin' Donuts, they get people from other Dunkin' Donuts to come help run it and train the new people. They probably have goblins from some other minor bank come over and take over for.
Maybe.
All they'd have to do is wave the wand and it would put the
Everything
bank back
back.
together, anyways.
That's true. There are a couple like weird spells.
Fix-it
You can
spells.
fix anything.
Do you find it cruel and unusual punishment then that they make they make Filch like he's like sweeping
You
shit
should-
up?
I was thinking the same thing. Like,
He's a
can't they just
squib.
cast some spell, man?
Yeah.
He's a squib. He can't cast spells.
Yeah, I know. I mean, but
But I'm
somebody
saying
else.
like they should have like
They should have hired
a
somebody.
magical custodian that can just
That's
pick
his
stuff up.
penance.
Yeah. If you have a vault in Gringotts like Bellatrix, and you want to make a massive deposit of
Shit.
18,000 gold pots or whatever,
Galleons.
no, like all those trinkets they have,
Okay, yeah.
do you have to take them one by one in that goddamn cart, or is there a better way to get?
I don't know.
There was no like cart that led to her vault. They
Well,
fell
if you
down.
can float dishes in the air back to where they belong, I'm sure
They
you
just
could do
apparate
it.
in
With,
They can't go through the magic of enchantment waterfall.
Maybe it's like like a trash
have a
chute in a New
window.
York building where it just you put
Sounds
it in
like the way
somewhere
to
it goes.
get in.
Or like a Home Depot system where they have like a tube system.
Maybe, and then something falls in or touches something and fucking doesn't stop.
Well, they can also just like Hermione has the bag of holding. You could just put all the stuff in there and then unload
Carry
it
it
once you
around.
get there.
Yeah.
If you're properly doing it, I think it's when you're not properly doing it where the fences come in. The Escape from Gringotts ride in Orlando is really fun.
It's cool.
It's very, very cool. It's very fast too. What's up?
Is Hogwarts free?
No.
So I have to pay for this?
It's
a
invite
private
only,
school.
right?
Well, I mean, you have to pay for all the books and stuff. I don't know if there's an actual fee to get in.
Because, like, yeah, what if you're a parent? You're like, well, I can send my kid to public school. I don't have $20,000 of private magical tuition.
Well,
Like,
like
why do
all
I
the-
get my kid to
all the
Hogwarts?
Weasley stuff is hand-me-downs. I mean, the books and the...
So it seems like the education is free.
Can you imagine if you had, like, what did they have, 8 kids? Because they had Charlie and...
1, 2, 3, 4, 5,
Percy.
6.
Charlie and
The
Percy.
twins.
No, there was 2 older
6.
brothers,
There's
right?
2 older brothers, Percy, Ron,
So you get this oldest
Fred
son,
and George, Ginny.
and then you hand the stuff down to the next one. And you're handing them down, and then you fucking have twins, and you're like, fuck.
One
I have to
gets
get a
new
new
shit.
one,
Yeah, you have to get a new set of everything.
or they make them share.
Yeah. There's a...
Just new clothes.
Just
Emerald
hold one back.
There's an Emerald City Comic Con Funko Pop exclusive, which is, and when they do exclusives at Emerald City Comic Con, a lot of them are green. It's a 3-pack of Ginny, Ron, and one of the twins at the Quidditch World
World
Cup,
Cup.
and they're all done up for the Irish team.
That's cool.
It's like super cool. I guess it would have to be the twins. Maybe it wasn't Ron because Ron was rooting for Bulgaria, wasn't he?
Yeah. Him and
Yeah.
Harry.
Yeah, Bulgaria. Crumb.
Crumb. Yeah, I was trying to think of the name. I was going to say Crunch.
Yeah,
Close.
we ate at the Three Broomsticks on Saturday again. We eat there every time we go there. The Leaky Cauldron is much better than Three Broomsticks, but we don't have a Leaky Cauldron in our Universal.
Oh.
It's the same food.
It's not the same food. They had
Both?
different drink menu and different food.
They do have a different drink menu.
They had a different food menu
Do
too.
they really?
I think they both had fish and chips, but
Okay.
that's because that's
And
what
that
we
platter
get.
thing.
It's like a $70 platter, and it comes with this huge tray of salad, but then it comes with prime ribs, potatoes, and
Which place
all
is
this
this?
stuff. Three Broomsticks.
That's the one we don't have, right? No,
That's
we
the
have
one we do
that.
have.
Cauldron is in Diagon Alley.
Yeah, it's in London. The Leaky Cauldron, that's in London. No,
You sound familiar.
Are you surprised so many parents sent their kids to Hogwarts year 7? Basically,
Where else were they going to send them?
basic love. Don't send them to school the year that fucking the headmaster got killed by an evil wizard.
and the Caros, was that they're called?
Yeah.
like,
torturing all the kids.
ride home. They can.
Oh, you think they're allowed to write home during that time?
If I didn't hear from my kid, and there's some weird shit
They're
going on
probably
in the world.
just like every other parent. They're like, I'm sending my kid off to boarding school. I don't
Bye.
care what happens.
Can you imagine, like, we're being tortured? Dark wizards control this place. Well, glad to having fun.
Yeah. It was hard when I went there too, kid.
Like, Seamus year 6 said, my mom barely let me come because she's reading stories in
Yeah.
the newspaper. But Voldemort's back
That's
alive,
right.
and it's confirmed by the newspaper. The ministry's gone under. But mom let me come back.
His stupid mom.
Yeah, good for me, Harry. And now we're being tortured, and
Well, I'm sure they get turned if they didn't take their kids to school, just like they do here in real life.
all the kids had a fight in the final battle. Whether I think they wanted to or not. I'm sure there's some Hufflepuffs who felt like, fuck, I wish I was in Slytherin in the dungeon.
52.
But I thought the teachers would be like, let's get all the kids out of here before the fucking...
Yeah.
All hands on deck.
No, he said, like, arm all the students, give them all guns.
Very-
Here come the evil wizards.
It's pretty, you don't hear a lot about him, and he does end up becoming an Minister of Magic. But
Kingsley.
Kingsley Shacklebolt is his last name.
Yeah.
I love that little. There's
It's the way he...
countless Death Eaters shooting spells, and he's just blocking all of them while everybody gets back into the Great Hall. He's just like whoop, whoop, and there's that one guy that comes through the window. And he just freezes him there and like
It does a
shoots him
slow
back
motion
out.
shot.
Like I would love to see more of him. He seems like he's a badass.
I was wondering why more good wizards didn't show up. There's like 12 adults and 400 kids.
Yeah, you
against
think
a
like the
couple thousand.
parents of a lot of them would be
Yeah, not just the...
be down.
Fuck, if they didn't have the Weasleys,
It's just like real society. Like how many people talk about the shit, but then when it comes the time to act, that nobody does anything.
there's got to be more than fucking 5.
Well, it was also an impromptu battle. It's not like they knew they were coming.
I think you'd also have to figure out
It
how
lasted
many
all
people
night.
are actually magical as well.
So who's sending owls out to their parents during a battle?
They can warp anywhere at any point in time.
No, they
You can't apparate in and out of Hogwarts.
How did they get in Hogwarts? Past the Dementors, all the.
What are you talking about?
What are you talking about?
What are you
all
talking about, Corey?
The adult
Thank you, Brian.
members of the Order of the Phoenix when they cast Snape out. They all walked into Hogwarts and strolled in.
They can walk in, but you can't apparate in.
So the place was heavily guarded. Hogsmeade was locked down.
Well, maybe they came in the same place through Hogsmeade that the kids did, through the portrait hole.
That might be one explanation. So they couldn't get more than that many people?
But there wasn't that many more people fighting.
Like, that's what I'm saying. Like, you think they're letting
Yeah, I know
these
that.
kids right home and, like...
If all the Death Eaters can get together, like 18...
Well, the Death Eaters all apparated outside of Hogwarts on that mountainside.
They all got the message somehow.
They did.
So there's no other... Out of all the things that create food out of thin air...
You have to understand a lot of those people were underground. They didn't want to be found.
Underground.
They can't communicate to each other through fireplace, make a face in the fucking fire.
The Weasleys made those radios to communicate.
Yeah, I just don't know if there was that many more people on the good side. You'd think there would be more, but I don't know.
Yeah, you can send a couple howlers out. It can't be that hard.
It
Well,
is.
that's-
They're going to be
Get your ass
controlling.
to
They're going
Hogwarts.
to control mail. They're not going to let mail go in and out of that school without reading it first.
No, we're saying, where are these other people? Do they exist? It sounds like they don't exist. Like, I mean,
There should be a lot of parents in on that shit.
yeah. If Luna was there, then her dad should have been there.
True. And it was weird. Luna, she was not at home. Her dad said she got kidnapped.
Yes.
And then they go rescue her as well as Dobby rescued them.
And then she goes back to school.
Then, the next time you see her, she's already back in school while the Gryffindors are when Harry comes through the secret entrance. And she still looks beat up. I'm like, did she decide to go back to school instead of... Like, she wasn't with Harry when they apparated into Hogsmeade. So sometime after the beach house, she decided to go back to school.
Yeah. I mean,
Her dad let her go back to school.
there's definitely some weird things there. But, I mean, not unusual for movie tropes. I mean, there has to be
fine.
some.
If you were Voldemort, would you have used the Basilisk earlier and better when you were a kid and or becoming a dark evil wizard? Like, that thing is...
I think if he would have used it more frequently, that a wizard such as like Dumbledore, McGonagall, any of them would have just
What
stopped
could
Get
you
to
it.
his jive.
Well, if you use it more frequently, you'd have to come out in the open occasionally.
Yeah. So if...
He was a prefect. He wasn't
The
like...
more-
let's say he's adult. He's already made 5 Horcruxes. Instead of making number 6 Nagini, let's make number 6 the Basilisk. Is it possible?
I guess you could have. I mean,
Fuck, who's gonna kill?
He was probably trying to think of control.
a dark wizard or Dumbledore.
He made some Horcruxes that are just... I want to make it... I mean,
There were vanity reasons.
I know there's like they have significance in a way, but like one's like a cup and it ends up is sitting in a room. Oh, sorry.
The cup was
the cup
from
is in a room.
Hufflepuff.
No, what's the other one? The tiara is just sitting.
Diadem.
In a
That's from
room.
Ravenclaw.
Well, the diadem is in the room of
He's not going to
requirement,
keep
right?
them all together
Right.
in the same place.
No, but then I'd rather be a basilisk.
Well, the necklace was hidden pretty well.
Yeah.
In that,
The necklace was, and I feel like the tiara wasn't. They said nobody's seen it. Nobody alive has seen it, but somebody moved all that junk in the room of requirement the year before.
Mm-hmm.
They said when the school's on lockdown, and that was sitting on a box and a table. You tell me nobody's seen it.
well,
in
you'd
100 years?
you'd have to be specifically wanting it for it to actually be there. Stuff that is required is there. That's why when Dumbledore needed to go to the bathroom, he walked in the room of requirement, and there was a ton of chamber pots. I mean,
Did they show this?
It might have been just in the book.
Right.
But I mean, that's why
It conforms to whatever the person
That's why when
needs.
the Order of Phoenix needed a place to practice, there were dummies and stuff in
But
there.
all the junk being in there is not in there for everybody.
Well, the Vanishing Cabinet was in there for Malfoy when he needed it.
Yeah, there's also a million other things at that point in time,
Yes.
and every other person who's went there. It basically looked to me like it just became a storage
It
closet.
is a room for requirement. It is what is required
So
for the person.
if you needed the diadem, you would say you would go in there and only the diadem would be there.
But it was more than that when they went.
Yes. I mean, it's magic.
I'm
Corey.
just curious if the book.
That's like anything in the Star Wars is the Force.
In your mind, that plays out exactly the same way in the book.
I say it's been 10 to 12 years since I read it. The chamber pot thing I remember from the book.
Did they ever use the secret room that Fluffy was guarding ever again, to your knowledge?
No.
No.
Okay. And Fluffy went away? They never talked about him, to your knowledge?
I don't remember.
That'd be a nice thing to help in the battle if it just popped up at the end.
Yeah, that'd be a good one.
Though I don't know how you get half of that shit in and out of the castle. Like, how
Well,
you get
with
Fluffy
so
in.
many spells that are just killing spells or cutting spells or dismembering spells, it seems like it'd be easy to just kill a bunch of people.
Yeah. I remember Harry had the Half-Blood Prince spell, the one that was like...
Septum Sempra?
Yeah, there was slicing and dicing.
Yeah.
He never used that after it got rebounded
He
on
did.
him. In the book?
No. Somebody used it again, and I'm trying to blank on where. He used it on didn't he try to use it on one of the necklace to destroy it when he was just trying every spell he knew?
Oh, that's interesting.
Yeah.
He
Yeah,
very
that's
well
what it
could
was.
have.
So yes, he tried to use it again, it didn't work.
So, anyway, Basilisk, I was like, Voldemort should have went after that years ago. I don't know why he just killed one person. And
It also seems that, I mean, not only did they get rid of Hagrid's cool moment in the Great War, it seems like with as close as he was to so many magical creatures, he could have had a fleet of...
like he could have called upon
That would have been cool.
the allies.
Like
Even
called a bunch of magical
Centaurs?
creatures. I think the Centaurs fought in the
The
book, I
centaurs
believe.
fought in the book,
Okay, that's cool.
but they're not controlled by anybody.
And spiders hopped in the movie.
Yeah, but they were
And-
bad.
Yeah, because for a minute, I forgot about that. I'm like, oh, is this his Hagrid's buddies?
Yeah, it could have seemed like Hagrid would get a bunch of spiders coming up and killing people.
Well, he
but
was
no.
friends with Aragog. His kids
Yeah, but-
were.
But
a
they all
different
knew
story.
him
Yeah.
since they were little.
Do they talk like Aragog? Or is
I
Aragog...
don't know.
Okay, it's just a book question, I guess. Did Aragog die of natural causes?
He was old.
Yeah.
That was it? So he tried to make his way back to Hagrid's hut and keeled over and died?
Probably.
Assumingly?
That was a touching scene when they're all... I like that way that was shot, where they're all standing there.
Yeah.
And it's kind of from far away in the back.
Except everybody's all jittery because he's on the luck potion.
Yeah. You can buy those at Hogsmeade. They're pure sugar and ginger.
That's funny.
It's obvious that you three know quite a bit more about this than I do.
A little
Well,
bit.
Having just watched the 8 movies helps.
True.
We watch them through at least once a year.
Cloaks. Or
I don't think
specific-
I think they're very common.
Voldemort's cloaks. Are they
Oh.
an extension of him? Like, is it a real outfit? Or is that what he wants us to see? Because at one point he starts strangling.
Yeah. I think
Harry
it's the
with
same
it?
thing as to me, it's like a portion of his mind has to be constantly focused on it, like Magneto and those little balls in his office that are going back and forth.
Right.
Like, part of his mind has to be dedicated to controlling that one
He'd
thing.
be, like, buck-ass naked if he wasn't...
I always felt that way in that position too, that he punches or kicks Harry right there, doesn't he?
I
He
don't
smacks
remember.
him down.
He slaps him. doesn't
They
he?
have a little fisticuff.
It seems to me that he would think that physical contact would be beneath him.
Yeah, he would summon a giant
I think he likes the fact that he can touch
Hand.
him.
or a fire demon, whatever
The battle between
Crab
him and
summons,
yeah.
and
The battle between
him and Dumbledore
is
is
great.
yeah, a bit more imaginative rather than just like killing curse.
It seems like they're creating magic just to do their will instead of casting spells.
Yeah. Do they ever explain flying? Like, so basically at the time Voldemort comes back, it becomes an apparent way of travel for Death Eaters to turn into gaseous black balls and fly through the
That's
air.
apparating.
That's
Not flying.
apparating.
That is apparating.
Yes.
But when they apparate,
Because you
you
can get splinched. That's why.
can apparate across country instantly, right?
It's a little loose.
Because I was say, and basically in the Order of the Phoenix, you see the good people or
Yes.
whatever, and it looks like at one point in time they're going side by side shooting spells at each other.
Yeah.
So
Maybe there's a halfway in between type of thing.
I thought that was weird. It wasn't. It's nothing ever talked about in the movie. Not even like spell-wise, like Harry and say, "What are they doing?"
Yeah.
Well, just think about the bridge attack. Like you couldn't see them at first, and then they materialize, and you could see them apparating through the air, and then turn the bridge over.
Maybe there's different degrees of it. One that can travel short distances and one that can travel long. I don't know the specifics on it.
You also don't see them travel long distances because they're not going to show that.
We don't do Pottermore, so we don't know
Right.
like anything
No.
that they've released since.
Well, when they do apparate, like they end up in the middle of, like right in front of a bus. If they were flying, I imagine they wouldn't land right in the middle of the street. I don't know, but can you apparate? So you can do that in Hogwarts then, because Voldemort does it. When
He does it once he's inside Hogwarts. You can't operate into Hogwarts.
You can apparate out.
No.
Only
Once you're within the
Maybe
vicinity,
you can go from one room
apparate.
to another. I don't know.
like
There's
only
obviously
Dumbledore
lots
can
of things
operate
that
out
they've
of
gone
Hogwarts.
That's
doubled
interesting.
back on before. So
I wonder, what do they call those bad guys? The not the searchers. What do they call it? The snatchers.
Snatchers.
They run across the bridge and none of them apparate. I was like, the guys in the back are all fucking magically lacking.
Maybe they were just dense.
They could have been squibs too.
Yeah, you don't actually see all of them cast spells. Maybe one of them's magical and one of them, some of them are squibs.
At least the very front was casting spells.
That guy's awesome too.
What do you mean?
The lead snatcher.
Awesome in the movie, book, or real life?
In real life, like he did the commentary for one of them we watched on. Like Jason Isaacs did the commentary on one of them.
That's cool.
Yeah.
Let me see if I have anything else. This is not me picking apart the movie. There's a million of those, but things I actually don't know what happened to some of these characters. So like, Buckbeak was never shown again. I was wondering if he could have been Harry Potter's pet for all I know.
Yeah, I don't think the Dursleys let him keep him.
How come elves were like? Is there anything about elves? Seem pretty powerful in magic. They don't need wands. They snap. Like Dobby.
Maybe there's not many free elves.
Yeah, but how did they get subjugated to be slaves in the first place with magical capacity like that? I don't know.
Maybe they're not as smart.
And goblins seem to have like no magic, and they're smart, and they're.
But it just goes to show what brains can do.
I don't know. Dobby seems okay. A little
okay.
Naive.
Just think about the girl that was in the fourth book, because they don't go into the freeing of the house elves like they do in the books. But there was one house elf that was freed, and she was completely depressed, and all she would do was drink.
I don't remember that.
You don't remember that?
No. Sounds fun.
What's the house elf? House elf of the Blacks?
Creature?
Yeah. He was Harry. I assume he was Harry Potter's after Sirius died.
Yeah, he'd probably be inherited.
And he didn't think to free him. Was that asshole Harry or like distrustful Harry?
Well, Creature was taking care of the House of Black. Like I don't know. Like he didn't serve Harry, and Harry didn't like expect him to serve him.
Creature wouldn't answer questions unless Harry asked, and Harry gave him an order. He did it.
Right.
So
he was obligated.
I assume by that he is the master.
Yeah.
He is, but it's not like Harry took that upon as a role.
I know, but why didn't Harry free him then?
Well, I think he just left him alone because he wanted to stay in the house and take care of the lady.
I mean, if that's what Creature wanted, although it's never expressed in any way in the movie, I don't know.
Well, he was rubbing down the portrait.
Would he not belong to Bellatrix? Is that different?
They were cousins. That was Sirius's cousin.
So who would he inherit? A godson would inherit him, or a cousin?
Well, I'm assuming the house would have to be left to Bellatrix for it to be hers.
Oh, that's interesting. You think Sirius had a will?
Well, he left everything to Harry.
You guys just stopped?
Yeah.
I'm thinking of when they go back into the house. It was left to Harry, but other people use the house even after he's gone.
What do you mean?
They still use it as a safe house after he died, didn't they? The Order?
After Sirius died?
Yeah.
You don't see him back in there. I don't remember them having meetings there anymore.
I said to bring stuff, and then we just ended up talking about baseball and Harry Potter.
This is what I brought.
Yeah. No, I understand. This is going to finish out the episode.
Okay, last one. Is Dumbledore all-knowing or naive to half of the big things that happen? Like, every time at the end of every movie, it's played off that Dumbledore knew everything all along. But if he did, does that make him a bad person? Or is he naive to...
Like, what do you mean?
Okay, so season 1. Book 1, Quirrell. Do you think he had any idea Quirrell...
He can't have known that. He can't have known where the Chamber of Secrets was.
It's not that he knows everything.
He kind of... every time he sits down with Harry at the end of a book, he makes mention, like, not
very matter-of-factly.
More or less, like, you had to figure it out for yourself. That's the lesson of life. Without saying that expressively. But he falls for a lot of stuff then. Like, so much stuff goes down in Hogwarts without him knowing, for him being, the all-knowing...
Mad-Eye being not Mad-Eye.
Basically his best... Well, not best. Okay.
He can see through an invisibility cloak, but he can't see through a Polyjuice potion?
Yeah, I would say he got fooled for a whole year, and there was somebody else too fooled him. Quirrell for a whole year. So 2 teachers for a whole year got the better of him.
They're also at the assistance of Voldemort, so I mean...
Yeah, Did he know what's the name was an idiot? Book 2.
Gilderoy Lockhart?
Yeah.
I don't think anybody did.
You couldn't see it after the first 5 minutes.
Parker, we were watching Conan O'Brien, and Parker asked if that was Gilderoy Lockhart. I guess the hair is similar.
Yeah. And if so, do you put him there? Is it amusing to you watching this happen?
Yeah.
It's like watching a train crash in real time.
Yeah.
I don't know. There's a couple things. Like if he knew that, then why would he? I don't know. Even when you think about Horcruxes, obviously now they're Horcruxes. I don't know how common knowledge that magic is. Dumbledore, as soon as he heard it, like, oh, I knew. I should have guessed it.
I don't think I think he knew they were Horcruxes. He was trying to find how many there were.
I thought he was just trying to get the word out of Slugdis.
No, because in that same memory
Slughorn.
Slugma.
he said 7, and I think that's where he was kind of.
But there's 7.
Yeah, there were 7.
Yes, there were 7.
So they didn't know Harry Potter was one. So
he knew.
He knew.
Because when you go back to Snape's memories, he's
no,
talking
but
about it.
Slughorn couldn't have known that.
No.
So did he mention 7 in
He
that
mentioned
flashback?
He said. He said, "Can you do it more than once?" Like, and he says references to 7.
I thought he mentioned 5.
No.
You
7.
mentioned 7?
Yeah.
So theoretically, he would have made 7 before Harry
No.
if he had his way.
Harry is the 7th one.
But that was an accidental. The Horcrux he never knew he made.
Maybe Harry was 8. I don't know. We'd have to count them
Uh,
because there's Harry, Nagini,
yeah.
All the houses.
Tiara,
the tiara, the cup, the
diary.
diary, the necklace.
locket.
What does that equal?
The
6?
ring.
That's 6. The ring. Dumbledore had the ring on his hand that cursed his hand.
There's a family ring.
No, was that destroyed by Dumbledore?
Yes.
Mm-hmm.
Was that the movie cover that? They show the flashback in the last movie of the cursed hand, but in movies,
I don't remember.
He holds up the ring to Harry and notes that he destroyed it and it took more than he thought it was going to take.
okay, and he showed his
hand.
Ooh,
Yeah. So that's 7 right there.
he should have had a phoenix cry on that.
Yeah,
cures
pretty much
everything.
Brian's getting tired.
I mean,
we gotta wrap
Wrap
up.
this up.
It cured basilisk stuff, which destroys Horcruxes. So
Yeah. If so facto, that's called MMA math.
Worst comes to worst, use the sword of Gryffindor. You chop it off, and it only takes in
he was afraid.
that which makes it stronger. He has a sword arm.
Wasn't it a blood disease? How's that going to help you?
You could put a shotgun on
Looked
it.
like a skin disease.
Chainsaw.
Well, it was being transferred through his body by his blood.
He looked like a stone man.
Because it was continuing to infect him.
This is all really interesting.
we gotta let Brian go.
Says Brian.
Yeah. I want to give a couple shout outs to some podcasts that I listen to before we go. I haven't done that in a while, and they're really good podcasts. They don't get a lot of, any recognition or shout outs or word of mouth that any podcast gets is a big deal. So if you do listen, grab your friend's phone, subscribe to our podcast first, and then to these podcasts next. Earth 919 podcast. It's a comic book podcast. They do not only do they do number one issues and comic book news and comic book movies news and stuff, but they will each week they will discuss comics and different things. And I like it because a lot of the first issues they tell you if it's easy to jump off on this issue, if it's kind of complicated to jump off on a new character or stuff like that. And that's one of the reasons I've always liked their podcast. And everything I learned from movies, you can find them on Earth 919 on iTunes, Stitcher, and all those places. The other one is everything I learned from movies. They're just really good people. I like the podcast a lot. I don't get to listen as much as I'd like, but it stands for Everything I Learned from Movies, so it's EILFM podcast. Same thing. You can find them on iTunes and anywhere. They get some cool people on there. I've listened to some pretty interesting interviews on there. They do movie stuff as well and stuff like us. But I just wanted to give shout outs to both of them. I like both those podcasts a lot. And if you like ours, you will probably like theirs as well. So give both of them a try. Like I said, word of mouth is one of the best things you can do for podcasts. So I wanted to say something about theirs because I enjoy them. As far as ours, we've got a lot of recordings coming up soon. March 2nd, we're recording our first Books and Brews and Books, whatever you want to call it. Like I said before, we're going to be doing Oblivion Song, the first trade, which I believe is issues 1 through 6, Dead Body Road, which is, I believe, the entire series, which is a miniseries, and the first issue of Assassination. Food is going to be provided by Lucha Libre, and beer is going to be provided by Society Brewing. I've started getting more active on our Instagram, which is 9to5nerds. Same thing as our Twitter, which I do not promote on here enough. We are going to be recording an episode this upcoming weekend with Alan, and it is going to be going on our Patreon. So if you haven't subscribed to our Patreon, which I'll self-admit there's not a lot on there, but there will be stuff coming out on there more regularly. So if you want to hear the upcoming podcast with Katrina and Alan and I about our movie quest, and I'm not going to put them all on there, but this one is going to be on there. You will be able to go and listen to that through our Patreon.
Yay.
Anything you guys want to say before we go? Brian, you look tired.
Brian,
you
tired.
need to add something, Brian.
It's late. And I'm severely undermatched in Harry Potter knowledge.
It's literally 9:40.
It's late. We're all in our 30s. It's late.
Yeah, some of us are more tired than others.
This is true.
The kids, man, they suck the life out of you.
Yeah. How far are you? Well, I guess you'll talk about it on your Saturday podcast, but
What? How far are we in the movie?
How far? Like, what movie you watched?
Well, we don't know what we're going to watch this weekend before we record, but we've watched Moonlight, and Alan watched Fury Road.
We all watched Fury Road.
Well,
Right.
I didn't remember you being here.
You had never seen that?
No.
No.
Oh.
Yeah. So we're going to watch one more, and then we're going to talk about it. You can come over and talk about it if you want to. I don't know. We need to watch some sort of classic movie on Saturday.
Put on Harry Potter.
Some of them aren't easy to find.
Gone with the Wind.
Should be easy. You tell me that's hard to find?
Come on, Robert.
You know what is on Netflix now is Hell or High Water, and I really wanted to see that.
You never watched it?
I haven't watched it yet.
Okay. It's. I remember buying it at Black Friday before I saw it. You know,
No. Bought it blind.
it's cheap enough.
All right. Well, that'll be this week. Follow
Yeah,
us.
man.
Listen to us. Get your friends to listen to us. We've got a lot of new listeners. I'm thankful for all them and all our old listeners.
I wish you had the closing line to Duke Silver, where he's like, "Come be with me, come ride with me." What
was his? What was it? What was Duke Silver's closing?
He's not going to know.
That's why I asked him.
I know.
Duke Silver.
No.
Do you
Good
know
evening.
Jack
Can we
Gold?
go on this
Good morning, good
sonic
evening, good
journey
night.
together?
What about
Good night. Good luck.
that? No. Truman Show.
Good
Oh,
night
yeah.
and good luck
You
was
just
one
do
of
that.
them, and then good night, good morning, good evening, and good night was the other.
Yeah.
See, Brian does know something. With that said, we're out.